This is Jim Erickson with the University of Michigan News Service. I'm at the School of Natural Resources and Environment speaking with Professor Arun Agrawal and postdoctoral researcher Lauren Persha about their study of the social and ecological benefits of tropical forests. Professor Agrawal, what were you trying to find out in this study?
We have been trying to understand how the relationship between the different benefits that forests provide should be understood for about the past 15 years now. What we are trying to understand in this particular study is how local participation in making rules to manage forests affects social benefits such as livelihoods, economic benefits such as incomes of rural populations, and at the same time, how does it affect biodiversity in the forests?
Lauren, how did you go about answering those questions?
We took a set of cases that were representative of the kinds of human-dominated landscapes that are in these systems in the tropics, and we looked at the relationship between indicators of biodiversity in the forests and indicators of income in households and subsistence contributions from forests to their households, and assessed the relationship between these two things. And then we looked at the ways that a set of factors, including local participation, were able to explain the different kinds of outcomes that we saw in our data set.
And what was the most significant finding?
Forests are an amazing thing because they are so beneficial to human beings, and many people don't realize that they store carbon, they provide livelihoods, and they store biodiversity. What we found, in contrast to a lot of people who work on forests, is when people are depending to a substantial extent on forests, and so they are taking out economic benefits from forests, it's possible to have higher levels of biodiversity in those same forests. And what makes it much more likely that you'll have both higher livelihoods and higher biodiversity is that if local people have control over larger areas of forests from which to draw benefits for themselves.
And the second important finding coming out of that is that when those local people also are able to participate in making rules over the use of that forest, they also, again, are able to obtain both of these things.
Professor Agrawal, what are the implications of your findings for forest management in tropical developing countries?
So over the last 50 years, many different scientists have tried to understand whether it is possible to get higher levels of benefits from forests at the same time as forests provide ecological benefits to human beings. One of the key obstacles to arriving at a clear understanding of this has been lack of data. And so we have used very systematically collected data to show that in fact it is possible to do that. And what we have tried to do is provide information on the basis of which we can make better policies about managing forests.
Where are the study sites that were used to get this data?
We drew study sites from 6 countries. 3 were in East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, and 3 countries in South Asia, Nepal, India, and Bhutan. And in each of those countries, we had anywhere from 5 to almost 40 cases. And the cases were spread across different kinds of forests as well. And so we had representation across more highland tropical areas and lowland, drier kinds of tropical forests.
Why would the level of local participation affect social benefits and biodiversity in a forest? What's the connection there?
So what we think is going on with that connection is that when local villagers are able to participate legitimately in decision-making processes, they're able to use their local knowledge of the resource, they have better knowledge of the state of the forest, and a stronger incentive now to make decisions that not only balance their short-term interests, but also take into account actions that would sustain the forest over the long term.
If you look at the world's forests, 85% of them are owned by governments. And what the study shows is that communities can manage their forests and protect them and gain benefits from them when they have more control over forests. So it's a lesson for governments about how to make policies to manage and govern their forests.